pedal is, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm sure you all heard it. Basically, it's an active tone control or filter built into a pedal. So it's not that different than if you were. That's basically what it's doing. So, but since that's a royal pain in the butt to do, they built a pedal to do it. It was actually built for a trumpet player to try and get a mute sound, a guy named Clyde McCoy originally, and then some guy, I think it was in LA, said, wait, that would be great for guitar players. And he had to actually talk people into marketing it to guitar players. But essentially that's, you know, it's doing the same thing, it's just a different filter. It reacts differently than a tone pot in your guitar, that's why it sounds different. And it's, you know, it's powered, so it's got a battery. We've all heard the shaft sound. We've all heard what I call the Tonight Show wah-wah sound, which is or the White Room sound, which for my money are the worst uses of wah-wah ever. I mean, Jimi Hendrix was the master of wah-wah. It's so expressive and can be used so many different ways. To just use it on quarter notes is sort of depressing. You know, by changing, by not doing it with what you're doing, you get so much variation, you know. For the funk stuff, it's unparalleled, it's great. You want lessons in it, check out Wah Wah Watson. It's on YouTube. There's great stuff of him with Herbie Hancock, and he's just, he was the master. His big thing was, you may have heard our records. On old soul records, he was the guy who would do that kind of stuff. That's another use for it. You can use it basically as a filter. Now, in terms of placement, it will do two different things depending on where you place it. In terms of distortion, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Josh Smith, great guitar player from LA. He has an insert in his pedal board so that he doesn't use the wah-wah all the time, but the insert is placed between two of his distortion pedals, because you can either drive a distortion pedal with it or you can filter a distortion pedal with it. And the difference in the way it works is if you have the distortion in front of it, what's going into that distortion is your guitar signal unfiltered. So if I'm playing, shut this up. Let's take this off. So there's the distortion sound. Now what I'm doing is I'm filtering that distortion sound as if I was changing the tone knobs on my amp or on a board or something like that. So now that may sound familiar. Apparently, people claim that's what Hendrix did. So if you're familiar with that sound, that's how he got it. But the other way a lot of rock guys use it is before distortion, either before a distorted amp or a pedal, because you will be sending different frequencies into that distortion, and the distortion is going to react differently depending on which frequencies it sees. And that just gives a whole other sound. Like here's through the clean amp. But that's just the wah-wah. But when you start putting a little distortion after it, now I don't know if you really can tell the difference, but it really gives it a more vocal sound because you're distorting the wah-wah signal, and distortion reacts very specifically to different frequencies. If I'm distorting this frequency, it's going to sound like one thing. If I distort this frequency, and it really brings out what they call the cue, the resonance of the wah, in a way that placing it after the distortion is not going to do. But for like funky stuff like that, I find it's better to put it before the overdrive rather than after the overdrive. And like Josh Smith, I mean, I would, if I was going to put it on a pedal board, I'd put it in between different overdrives. I'd put the fuzzes in front of it, not just because they don't want to see the buffered signal of the wah, but also because I think it sounds better. They don't sound as good when you're changing the EQ that they're seeing coming in. But for an overdrive, I think it works better after the wah. I don't know about distortion. I imagine that could work in either place. What you would want to do is just play with it, you know, stick it where one place, see what that sounds like, stick it the other place, see what that sounds like, and see what you like better. So that's uses of the wah-wah. I'm trying to think of anything else. There's also, you can use it in more modern ways. Let's see. Where you'd be where you'd really be using it like a synthesizer felt it. That'll work better. So you can get cool effects like that. You know, there's just so many ways to use it other than